Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. It's 6 p.m. here in Cairo. You're watching Channel 2. It's time to have a look on the latest news. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi and visiting Zambia's president hold talks on bilateral ties and regional developments. Syrians reject Netanyahu's remarks over prevailing Syrian forces from deploying south of Damascus. And fighting in Congo has killed 7,000 since January, DRC Prime Minister says. Welcome back. The news in detail. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi on Monday described his bilateral meeting with visiting Zambia's President Hakainde Hichilema as positive and fruitful. Addressing a press conference at al-Ittihadiyya Palace following the meeting, President el-Sisi said the discussions with Zambian counterpart reflected a joint will to consolidate cooperation in the political, social, and economic fields. President el-Sisi said the talks tackled means of boosting bilateral ties and building on the historical distinguished political ties between the two countries. The president pointed out that Egypt expressed readiness to offer its developmental expertise to Zambian state institutions. The head of state said the talks probed the investment opportunities offered by Zambia for Egyptian private and public sectors, notably in the pivotal Lobito corridor. President el-Sisi said the talks with the Zambian president also included consultations on regional developments, notably in Gaza, Sudan, the Democratic Republic of Congo, and the Red Sea security. The president asserted the need to press for the discussion of African priority issues such as debt crises, climate change, and rising poverty rates at international meetings agenda. The president and his Zambian counterpart also witnessed the signing of a cooperation agreement. Earlier, a red carpet reception ceremony was held at the presidential palace to welcome the Zambia's president, with martial music bands playing the national anthems of both countries. On behalf of President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi, Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli on Monday opened the Sports Expo 2025 exhibition and conference. Madbouli said the event is an important international platform for boosting investment and innovation in the sports field and building vital sports partnerships. The third Sports Expo will be running for 3 days with a wide participation of leading clubs, sports federations, and companies specialized in sports technology and sports investment. Prime Minister Mustafa Madbouli toured the exhibition accompanied by Minister of Youth and Sports Ashraf Sobhi, Cairo Governor, as well as Head of Arab Manufacturing Authority. Hamas official Bassem Naim said talks with Israel through mediators on further steps in a ceasefire agreement in the Gaza Strip are conditional on Palestinian prisoners being released as agreed. Israel said on Sunday it was delaying the release of 620 Palestinian prisoners it should have freed following Hamas' release of 6 Israeli captives on Saturday. Meanwhile, Palestinians' health official said the death toll in 15 months Israeli aggression in the Gaza rose to 48,346 martyrs, mostly are women and children. The White House said that it supports Israel's decision to delay releasing 600 Palestinian prisoners. A statement from National Security Council spokesman Brian Hughes said delaying the prisoner release is an appropriate response to the Palestinian fighter group treatment of the hostages. He added that President Donald Trump is prepared to support Israel in whatever course of action it chooses regarding Hamas. Still in Gaza, Israeli tanks moved into the occupied West Bank city of Jenin for the first time since 2002 in what Palestinians called a dangerous escalation in the Israeli aggression in the territory since the war in Gaza began in October 2023. Israel said on Sunday its troops would remain for many months in refugee camps in the northern West Bank after tens of thousands of Palestinians living there were displaced by Israeli intensifying weeks-long military operation. The Israeli offensive spanned multiple refugee camps near the cities of Jenin, Tulkarm, and Tubas. Israeli troops or settlers have killed at least 900 Palestinians, including women and children, in the territory since the start of Gaza war, according to the Palestinian Health Ministry. The United Nations chief voiced alarm on Monday to rising violence by Israeli illegal settlers in the occupied Palestinian territory of the West Bank. Addressing the United Nations Human Rights Council in Geneva, Antonio Guterres also denounced calls for annexation after Israel announced expanded military operations in the occupied Palestinian territory. For his part, UN Rights Chief Volker Turk said the international system is in upheaval, with the human rights being suffocated, warning that an era of dictators could return. Turk also stressed a need for an all-out effort by everyone to make sure that human rights and the rule of law remain foundational communities, societies, and international relations. The European Union on Monday eased some sanctions on Syria's energy, transport, and banking sectors in a bid to help the country's reconstruction. The step is an improvement as Europe and other powers have been reluctant to ease sanctions imposed by target former President Bashar al-Assad's regime during the civil war. Meanwhile, Syrian National Dialogue's preparatory committee said a two-day dialogue conference starts on Monday to discuss a new path for the nation after the overthrow of al-Assad in December. The committee said the conference will focus on transitional justice, the constitution, institutional and economic reform, Syria's territorial unity, as well as public, individual, and political liberties. Syrians in southern cities called for demonstrations to protect Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's announcement to prolong Israeli occupation of the area south of Damascus for indefinite period. Netanyahu said he will not allow Hayat Tahrir al-Sham forces or the new Syrian army to enter this area, allegedly saying that latest step is defensive act for Israel. Several leaders from Europe and Canada visited Ukraine's capital Monday to mark the third anniversary of Russia's invasion in the show of support for Kiev. European Commission President Ursula von der Leyen and Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau were among the visitors, as well as European Council President Antonio Costa, as well as the Prime Ministers of Northern European countries and Spain. The EU's top diplomat Kaja Kallas insisted the U.S. cannot seal any peace deal to end the war without Ukraine or Europe being involved. Kallas travels to Washington on Tuesday for talks with the U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio. U.S. President Donald Trump welcomed French President Emmanuel Macron to the White House for talks today at a moment of deep uncertainty about the future of transatlantic relations, with Trump looking to quickly end Russia's operations in Ukraine. The two leaders were starting their day by taking part in a virtual meeting with fellow leaders of the Group of Seven economies to discuss the Ukrainian conflict. Macron's visit came after Trump shook Europe with repeated criticism of Ukrainian President Zelensky for failing to negotiate an end to the conflict and rebuffing a push to sign off on a deal giving the U.S. access to Ukraine's rare earth minerals, which could be used in the American aerospace and medical tech industries. German conservatives under Friedrich Merz vowed today to quickly form a government after winning a national election, but face tricky coalition talks. According to provincial results of yesterday's election, Merz's conservative bloc took first place with 28.5%, while the far-right Alternative for Germany won 20.80%. Outgoing German Chancellor Olaf Scholz's Social Democrats came in third time, is pressing for Europe's ailing largest economy, with Germans divided over migration, security, and businesses demanding help to remain globally competitive. The Prime Minister of the Democratic Republic of Congo said 7,000 people have died since January in fighting in eastern parts of the Central African state. We have more in the following report.
The Prime Minister of the Democratic Republic of Congo said some 7,000 people have died since January in fighting in eastern parts of the Central Africa state. Speaking at a high-level meeting of the Human Rights Council in Geneva on Monday, Prime Minister Judith Suminwa added that some 450,000 people are without shelter after 90 displacement camps were destroyed. She urged the world to act to impose dissuasive sanctions amid mass displacements and summary executions. The crisis began in January with the advances of the Rwanda-backed M23 armed movement, which are the gravest escalation in more than a decade of conflict in eastern Congo. Rwanda rejects allegations from Congo, the United Nations and Western powers that it supports M23 with arms and troops. In the opening remarks at the 58th UN Human Rights Council in Geneva, UN Chief Antonio Guterres said that human rights around the world are being suffocated and referred to horrifying human rights abuses in Democratic Republic of Congo. M23 fighters have made rapid gains in the past few weeks to now control large swathes of the resource-rich eastern DRC, with fears the conflict could spill across the borders.
Welcome back. Egypt's bourse turned lower at the end of transactions amid foreign investors' sell-offs against local and Arab corporations' purchases. The market capital of listed companies added some £4 billion to exceed 2.2 trillion Egyptian pounds amid an average trading of 1.1 billion Egyptian pounds. The benchmark index EGX 30 dipped 0.3% below 30,926 point mark. The equal weighted index EGX 70 added 0.1%, while the EGX 100 index fell 0.2% and 0.5%. Egyptian squash stars dominated the PSA Texas Open, with world number 1 Ali Farag and Nouran Gohar winning the championship's title in all Egyptian finals. Farag sealed the title in 2 sets before champion Mustafa Asal withdraws from the third set. Meanwhile, Gohar was crowned with the title after a 3-1 victory over another Egyptian, Hania El Hamami, in the 64-minute clash. The Egyptian Meteorological Authority said the cold weather is expected to prevail tomorrow during daytime over Cairo, the northern coast, Upper Egypt, and Sinai, cooling off at night all over the country. Here is a look at the expected high and low degrees in Cairo and other governorates. Ladies and gentlemen, this brings us to the end of our news bulletin. I'm Abi Mitwalli. Thanks for watching.